This one's from Captain Proton. Any YouTube channels you feel inspired by? If you've been here, if you if you made it the entire way through,
Obviously we're gonna talk about Red Letter Media, but let's talk about ones from the past. Or we've both been watching YouTube for like its whole existence essentially, or like since we were kids. I mean,
yeah,
were there any growing up? Obviously, we both did love the Angry Video Game Nerd for a time in our lives.
yeah, I'll never forget watching the Angry Video Game Nerd for the first time. That joke and how I laughed to it is burned into my. It was the Halloween one where he pulls out the game. The first thing that bothers me is the cover. Halloween, Halloween. Just in case you didn't see it the first time, and then like he just moves on. Like I died laughing, and so like he was definitely like my biggest inspiration or biggest. I was the biggest fan of his, and like when he did like videos as himself, like I really liked, and then everyone started hating him eventually, and then yeah, whatever. But he was the main one. But
Well, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, I mean, first of all, that Halloween video is iconic, and just one of my favorite random quotes from that is, "Then you turn on the game, the the walls are puke green
And
and the
shit
and
brown.
the floor is shit brown." I still use those color descriptions all the time.
Puke green and shit brown.
So many great quotes in that are like, is I don't know if it was that one or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where like the hippie like breaks into his apartment. He's like, "You ever gonna do any N64 games, nerd?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe eventually.
Yeah. One that I saw really early on that inspired me was Dax Flame. You ever hear of him?
No.
So he was like a only a few years older than us. So like when I was watching him as like 11, 12-year-old, he would have been early teenager. He's like an oddball, weird guy. And like he just made video diaries every day. And they were just hilarious because he's just like a weird kid. And like, there's like a viral meme of him where it was like, uh, dressing up as Superman to go to school, and then the next one was like humiliation and him crying in the Superman suit, and it was just random shit, and it was like classic YouTube, just like a weird kid making video diaries.
Uh-huh.
No one could do that today. I mean, maybe a few people, but like it would be so hard to do that and like get a following. He still makes videos to this day. He ended up
Jesus.
acting in a few movies. He was in 21 Jump Street. He had a small role, and then he was also the cameraman character in Project X, if you remember that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was in a couple things, and eventually, he just didn't get cast anymore. But he still makes videos. He just had a controversy this last year because he did a TikTok where it was like, "Who is this guy in the park feeding this homeless man?" And it was him, and all the comments were like, "OMG, so nice." But he set that whole thing up, and it was all fake, and like the guy wasn't homeless, and then he had to come out. Like he came out. It's like everything he does, you don't know if it's a bit or reality. Like it all blurs the line. So it's just so funny to watch him because he plays everything super straight. Like he comes out and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I lied about that," and everyone's like, "Is this the part of the bit?" Like no one knows. So he was an inspiration for sure.
Nostalgia critic.
Nostalgia critic, yeah, kind of like in the same vein time
Yeah.
as Angry Video Game Nerd, but for movies.
Right. Yeah.
I still remember. I think I found the Nostalgia Critic through Angry Video Game Nerd because they collabed, and then he reviewed Bebe's Kids, the video game.
Oh
So
yeah.
my first video I saw of his was a video game, Bebe's
Yeah,
Kids.
they did a cross thing where the nerd did a movie.
Ricky won.
Yeah. And then the critic did a video game.
Yeah. And then I started watching the critic from that, and it was also a weird time. Both of them had their own websites.
Yes, we would go like Screw Attack or that guy with the glasses.com.
Yeah,
Like I can't imagine going to someone's actual website to like watch anything now. Like
yeah.
we must like really like them to do that.
Well, you sometimes you had to, and like YouTube, they just used to like promote their websites.
Yeah,
So
Cinemaster used to upload trailers
yeah,
to the videos. You have to go on Screw Attack or whatever.
interesting. So yeah, definitely them, and still to this day, I'm a fan of commentary channels. Whether it's movies and stuff, or just anything. Like there's a few that I watch. They all kind of like know each other, but there's a few Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, and Kurt. Fuck, I forgot his name, but Kurt something.
Yeah.
And they all just do commentary, like they'll do videos on bad, like ridiculous movies they'll make fun of, but then they'll just comment, TikTok trends, like whatever that they want to, and the video is just them making fun of whatever. So I still like that genre as it's evolved, through YouTube. There was a while in like from like 2014 to like 2018 where movie stuff did get really big on YouTube. Like there was, Screen Junkies, there was like Collider, there was Ralph the Movie Maker, Your Movie Sucks. I mean, it's kind of petered out now. Like there's still Chris Stuckman in like some of them, but
Cinema Sins.
yeah, oh yeah, Cinema Sins was a huge one, yeah, and then I don't even know if they're still around, but
Yeah, I never really got. I was super late to the game with Red Letter Media. Like, between like, uh, 20, well, 2010, 2009, like Nostalgia Critic, Angry Video Game Nerd, and then that stopped. So 2012 maybe, up until last few years. Like, I avoided like any movie channels like the plague. I just like I don't know what like I couldn't argue my opinion, and if they said something negative about something I liked, I'm like, fuck this, you know what I mean? Like, because I felt like I couldn't argue my point, or they'd say something where I'm like, it's because of this,
yeah.
but I can't say it, and like I don't know, Cinema Sins, like, oh, it's like they're acting like they're better, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's how I felt watching those channels, and like unfortunately, I think Redditor Media. I didn't know like much about them, but I think they were just kind of lumped into that group where it's like, oh, they just judge people. It's like, whatever. Then,
Which, let's be fair, they do. Let's not act like they don't.
oh
I
yeah, they
mean,
do,
they
but
do.
they're very likable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we judge things as well, but I grew more open as time went on. Like, okay, I'll check this out.
Well, I think also for you, I mean, they became famous on their videos in the prequels, which was like your biggest defensive thing. So that, yeah, that's a hard hurdle. Uh,
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I've always like I don't know why I've actually like in a sadistic way like enjoyed that. Like I actually found Red Letter Media in 2019 on their Captain Marvel review, and like this is someone who me 2019 that's the peak of my MCU fandom. I mean that's like Endgame, Infinity War. So
Yep.
it's like it wasn't like I wasn't like Captain Marvel's trash. I want to go watch this video of them shitting on it. Like I actually probably liked Captain Marvel more than a lot of people. I don't think it's great or anything. I thought it was fine. But I watched their video and I'm like, oh, these guys are pretty funny. So then I just went back and watched their other videos, and I've watched them. To today, I still watch them, but I don't think I follow them as much as you. Like I don't watch a lot of their stuff if it's something I haven't seen, or if it's sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll watch that so I can watch their video, but I don't have the time to do that for all of their videos.
I guess I was more into it like with critic and nerd because like nerds, criticizing games I've never played. I've never seen like Howard the Duck or whatever
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ones that critic used to do. Like, oh, this is funny, but bad movie. But when when they would like judge movies that I like, I felt like it was almost attack on my
you
house,
personally.
me personally, and how oh you idiot, you like this movie?
Hmm.
I took it as that, not realizing that I'm aware of these flaws, but I like it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like, oh, it's bad. I never did. It's like I get it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it took me a while to get to that point.
Or even if it's a movie that you like or think is good and like don't necessarily agree, I think it's all just about like whether or not they're entertaining. I would apply the same thing to us. It's like when we talk about movies, it's like you don't have to agree with what we're saying, but are we at least like entertaining to watch when we talk about it? I think that's really all that matters. But yeah, obviously big fan of theirs, and we'd be lying to say that we don't try to take inspiration from them and try to we try to do it our own way and do things originally, obviously.
Hmm.
But I think we started the channel as a reaction channel. I had already watched Red Letter Media before then, but I think you discovered them like kind of right around the time we started the channel.
Around the same time, yeah.
Yeah, because we very quickly were like realized that we didn't want to do a full on reaction channel, and not to throw you under the bus, but it was your idea. And for me, I was like, oh yeah, I've never done a reaction channel, sure, but like in the past, I've done tried to do plenty of commentary related channels in the past.
Hmm.
So whether it's podcasts or whatever the case. So I was totally open to that, but then I was like, oh, reactions, I've never tried that before, sure. So then when you came around to wanting to do more commentary stuff, I was like, oh yeah, of course. So that's what I'm more comfortable with anyway. Obviously the reaction stuff for Star Trek and stuff is still fine, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the reaction stuff. I think I've said this before. The reaction stuff was just an excuse to watch stuff together.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we've never watched any of the Marvel shows together. We can watch those together. Um, yeah, and after the Luke Skywalker boom of 2020 that I always bring up, like hundreds of thousands of views to all these like small reaction channels and elevated some. So I'm like, it was a 2-for-1 deal. Like, hey,
yeah.
we might get something out of this, and we get to watch stuff together.
And still to this day, everything we do reactions to, Star Trek and the movies for audience cut, is still essentially just an excuse to watch it together. Like, I would not replace us reacting to Star Trek with just watching it on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to just watch Star Trek on my own.
Hmm.
Like, it's like this really fun, unique journey that we're doing. And the movies, yeah, we're just watching movies together. Like, sometimes our reactions piss people off, but like that we just love watching the movies together.
Yeah, getting to watch Total Recall with you was like everything I wanted for like a year or two. It's like finally, it was like and seeing you react to stuff and get to react with you. I'm like, yes.
And I think that's why it's like not our strength to react to shows that neither of us have seen or know that we like trying to watch Buffy or Quantum Leap and stuff like that. We just have an extremely high buy-in that we have to meet, and when the show doesn't meet that, I mean, you almost didn't want to do Firefly. You know what I mean? Like the first few episodes, you were like, I don't like this. You know what I mean? So
Those first few episodes were rough. The show was definitely better in its later half, but
and we ended up loving that one, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
so, but it's like that's what I mean is that like I think that's why that's not our strength. Even though I'm really glad we got to watch Firefly, you know, but that's why I have hesitancy
for another show.
reacting to anything else because a movie, if they, you know, we're about to watch Stargate after this, and like, you know, if we don't like that movie, okay, like, you know, we just didn't like the movie. It's over. You know, we watched it. It's, you know what I mean? Hopefully we like it. If we don't, whatever. It's not a 13 episodes we now have to sit through of something we don't like. So,
Yeah, not a commitment. Yeah, I mean, maybe like if we ever do pilot season ever again, just like throw out a couple feelers or just like satisfy some people on Patreon or whatever. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
yeah, and I mean, look, I always say I don't want to never say never, but honestly, like even from what you're saying, I feel like I'm even less open to reactions than you are at this point. Like I'm totally fine with our channel being our Star Trek journey and like that journey being reactions, discussions, lists, whatever we want to do,
Hmm.
and then audience cut where we discuss movies and we watch them for Patreon. Outside of that, it's like why am I going to watch anything else? Like, I just feel like once we finish Star Trek, which you know, unless one of us something changes in our life and we're still doing this channel, like that will eventually happen when we hit that point. You know, then we'll have to figure stuff out. But like up until that point, we have so much of it that it's like, why am I going to watch anything else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.